3. We're live, Mr. Wade. I yield, sir.
Good night. Good night. Welcome to our Belizean Affairs show number 314.
All right.
It's always a pleasure to sit in your company, Leonard.
Pleasure
And
is mine too, Mr. Wade.
we will be joined shortly by our next senior panelist, Mr. Gregory Brackett, and hopefully by Mr. Gregory Morrison.
So,
So when he get free up, he will join us. And it's always a pleasure here. And to our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad, welcome on a blessed Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. And like I say, time is always of an essence, so we'll go straight. There's a lot going on, you know, every day in this country of Belize, it's something new every day. So we here on the Belizean Affairs show, we are not afraid to call it out as it happens and how we see it. We don't dissect. We call a spade always. And on that note, we always we have our little protocol that we follow, and we start with a prayer. You know, in our on our show, because prayer do matters. And like I say, we are not preachers. It's not a church service, but we serve one God, and we know that there is one. So that's the God that we serve. On that note, I want to ask Leonard to lead us in a prayer, and then I got a reading from one of our viewers for tonight. So I'll do that reading after you do that prayer there, Leonard. So please
okay, and sir.
lead us in that prayer, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. I'll just bow my head and divine loving Father as we come before thy presence once more. We pray that thou must continue to be merciful unto us, that thou must continue to guide us, bless us, give us strength, courage, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so that we can impart some information that might accrue to some benefit, positive benefit to our people and country of Belize and others. Thou who art the creator of heaven and earth, the knowest our hearts, our desires, even our most secret thoughts, we pray that thou mayest have mercy upon our country of Belize, its people and leadership, that thou mayest bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership as well, and that thou will continue to bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in harm's way, who are in tornado areas, hurricane areas, earthquakes, uh, wars, and all manner of pestilence on the face of this earth. We pray that thou mayest continue to be merciful unto us all, for we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Leonard. I will jump straight into this reading. Um, uh, got a reading from one of our faithful and devoted supporter of our show, and asked me to read Proverbs, chapter 1, 1 to 10. And it reads, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, to whom wisdom and instruction to understand words of insight,
Amen.
to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence, to the simple knowledge of discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and and saying the words of the wise and their riddles, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching, for they are graceful garland for your head and pendant for your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. That's my reading. Proverbs chapter 1, 1 to 10. So
Yes, sir.
there's a lot going on. Leonard, I want to do a little sober reminder um, of the June to November. June to November. Um, we see we see already the the season had just started, and we see already it's very active in the country of Belize. Should that be surprise to the nation? No, it should not, because that's something that you should look forward to, because that is the way it is. June to November. And the last segment on Monday, we talked a little bit about, the floodings. We see the villages affected, and it's a repetitious cycle. We talk about it, and we came to a conclusion that no one seems to want to fix the problem. They just do a little band-aid fix, just to show that they're doing something, but fixing the problem, no one seems to have the will. And it's a serious matter, because just imagine, Leonard, you in your home, and suddenly the water, you know, keep rising, and then force you to evacuate your home because of flooding. So sadly, and in some areas, these things continue to happen. It's
As
not
in,
like the
as in
yeah,
Orange Park and Corozal most recently, sir. Very
exactly,
devastating.
exactly. So all I'm saying is that I beg the powers to be, I beg the authorities, to check into these situations, because it affects lives, children, mothers, elderly, folks that maybe can't move as fast as the water is rising, and it affects them. The roads that you build in these villages, be mindful how you're building them, right? Because you know it's not just to just go and put your Belizean and scrape the road all the time. No, it's about proper drainage, right? It's about watch how the water level comes, and how high it goes, and proper draining, and send the water down. Not water does not run up. Make sure you find a way that it channels it way down. So there's a lot to it. But if they don't have the will to want to do it right, the people will always suffer, always, in the country. And so be very mindful. um the next time an election comes around and you see like a little month before the election, they come in and they start scraping the road. Stop them in your village. Stop them. Tell them, no, this is what you did the last time. And it didn't work. Do proper drainage, so the water runs, and proper infrastructure, right? So stop them, because if you let them do it again, go and scrape the roads again. Oh yeah, they're working, but they did that is what they did the last time, and put you in that predicament. So stop them in your villages, right? Um, so that's what I wanted to and another thing, the the highways, the roads, every time, Leonard, that we have severe rain, it doesn't have to be the hurricane season, Leonard. 3 4 days when certain section of the roads floods all the time. You mean by now, over the past almost 30 years, no one seems to get it and know what to do? Huh? And not to mention, at some point, you guys import engineers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you all say. Import them, and the taxpayer pay these people. And although we have born engineers here that should know how our country operates, how it works when it rains, and what happens when it rains, and the low and the high and everything, because just
They
pop
should
up.
have records. They should
Yes,
have
that's
records,
what I'm
Mr.
saying.
Chairman.
Everything not just pop up. This is a continuous thing, but what they do, it's the band-aid fix, Leonard. Band-aid fix, and hopefully that the next day the sun comes out, and it dries it up, and then they get so much money to actually work, to fix, but the sun comes up and the water dry, so they leave, the water runs off, and they leave with that money, right? And they wait
Mm-hmm.
for the next, and then they get more money, and then it's a repetitious cycle. Don't we get it? This is not rocket science, but that's just to show you. This is just to show you some of our leaders think like crabs, like crabs. Walk back way. Huh? They will never get it, right? Over the past 30 years, and they haven't got it, this two-party system, that means they will never make it right in this country. Because they're like one track mind. Go in there, steal whatever they could steal,
And
uh,
and stay up on track.
and stay on track. Fatten whose friends they have, fattens who brings 200 and 300 votes for them, because they got to
Mm-hmm.
reward these people,
Mm-hmm.
These people that bring those 200 and 110 votes and 5 votes, and okay, where they get them from, once they bring them and support them, those people have to be rewarded, and it's a continuous cycle, right? So that's all I'm saying about about the June to November, right? And we talk on the last show, Leonard, that we do not have adequate shelters, right? So maybe we keep talking and we keep talking like we always do. That someone one of these days they would get it, right? Um. So we see, like I say, the corruption, the election and boundaries at its worst, right? I am the only man that gets up publicly and call out the election and boundaries. In their meeting, I get up publicly and tell them the wrongs and the nasty things they continue to do. No one else, right? The UDP do not do it, because the PUP and the UDP do the same thing. So they will not. call out each other publicly. They will not.
Mr. Chairman, on that point, wasn't Mr. August right there? I think was the person you made reference to at the time when you
He
made
was
that
one of
statement.
them. Yes, sir.
He was right there. I saw him in that same meeting.
Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yes,
and
sir.
he was supposed to be the chairman of the UDP at that time.
At that time. What he does, he bend his head down because he knows it's the truth.
Or at
The
least he was
PUP,
sorry, or at least even if he wasn't the chairman, he was deputy chairman maybe, but he was the member that was appointed by the UDP to that election and boundaries department to look out for
he's
the
part
interests
of
of the party.
that committee there, Leonard. He's part of that committee, right?
So the
They
both
have their
parties,
little committee
uh-huh.
also, right? So all I'm saying is that more people needs to get involved, right? Election come and go, and they forget, and they ride off in the sunset and wait for the next one, and it's a repetitious cycle. But they need to get involved, right? And call out these people for the things they do. They ask me if I have evidence. I have always sent them and call out and send them evidence, because if I say so, because I experience it, and I see it and I experience it, right? They always want, I don't know how much evidence the election and boundaries want, or the government at the day want, right? But like I say, it's so sad to see how they continue to publicly hands out the money and go in a little back alley or a little ways from the polling station and pays for their vote. Sad to see how they go and they lead people to go and make sure that they put that X where it's supposed to. And it's a continuous cycle. You see it happen
And
again
that
up
is
to
illegal too, because they're not supposed to be inside of the polling
right.
station themselves.
And they hold no apology doing it, Leonard. No apology. They do it boldly. Boldly because
And the returning officers don't stop them
no, because
because they don't want their jobs to be questioned.
exactly, exactly, right?
It's all
They're not
corrupt
gonna
from top to
bite the
bottom.
hands that they say feed them. Nobody's the taxpayers that feed on them, right? All
Exactly.
the pub, not the Britannia or I mean the PUP or the UDP. No, the taxpayers of Belize pays you guys, right? Um, again, while I'm on the village council, I want to publicly through our medium here, Leonard, to congratulate all the independent people who stepped up and for change boldly for to make a difference in their country, right? And with no fear, although with all the fear that they instill in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
As to some yielding machete sticks and stuff to, on each other, right? They
Mm-hmm.
didn't back down. The independent thinkers and independent slates step up, and I applaud them, and I call on more, because that's how it happens. And only the people, Leonard, can save the people.
That's the way we protect our democracy, Mr. Wade, Mr.
Exactly.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
People have
Like
to
I
get
say,
involved.
yes, sir. And we see it publicly, Leonard, how they humiliate the independent thinkers, the independent slates. We see it publicly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is here that I applaud these. I applaud anyone, Leonard. It doesn't have. I applaud anyone who would stand up and speak out against wrongdoings, against corruption, and against the things that you know that they're doing wrong. And I applaud anyone who is not silent on these matters, that speaks out. Doesn't have to be on politics or an election. No, anything that concern the leaders, the ones that you pay to do a specific job, and they're not doing it as to what they're supposed to do. I applaud anyone that stands up and tell them, Mr. or Mrs., you're doing a disservice, or you're doing something wrong. And this is the way you should be doing it, and this is what you should be doing, not what you had done, right? I applaud anyone, and that's only me, right? So, again, you see the opposition who should be out there standing up to to the government in terms of to do right by the people and nation. You see their, what is their priority? Surely not the people nor the nation. That's not their priority. So it's a continual saga in the UDP, right? That's for the UDP to clear that up. All I'm saying is that they are the paid opposition, paid by the taxpayers, not to be not to be doing the things that they're doing. No, to be doing right by the people and nation, right? And another item, Leonard, that is been making headlines, making news, and people in the villages, since, and it's not only on election time, we're seeing a pattern out in the keys of the way some of these police are behaving. Some of the law enforcement officer who is been paid by the taxpayers to protect them and serve them. We see the way they are behaving. And any fool would know that they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Right? And sadly, Leonard, at the end of the day, the the minister, the police commissioner, defends wrongdoing. They try to justify what the police had done. Right? We see it happen over and over and over again.
A bunch of
These things,
scofflaws.
these things need to stop. We are seeing too much police killing, and lately, right here, I don't know as to why they behave this way. If they get special instruction from the minister of the day, the politics of the day.
Not
I don't know.
necessarily. Not necessarily, Mr. Chairman.
No,
Um, Quickly, sorry for interrupting your formal presentation, but my perspective is that these guys behave like that because they have seen others behave like that without any consequence to their behavior, and therefore they are aiding and abetted. And when things do happen and get out in public, because it's not everything that they do we get to see or know about. The things that we complain about is what we see, and the part that we don't get to see, we should be complaining about too. But they don't. So they aid and abet criminal conduct under the color of
yes,
law.
yes.
And for that, they should be going to jail as well as
I mean,
terms of conspiring.
they see some PUP minister like Mr. Balona spits in the opponent's face, right?
It's an
Literally
assault.
spits in that person's face.
That
So
was an
they see
assault.
that, and then you had two policemen right there alongside
Yeah.
him,
I saw
right?
it. I saw it.
Right?
I saw it.
Yeah. And none of them hold him in check. None of them.
Now, did any of them make a report when they went to
Right?
the station?
So it begs to, it open your eyes and say, then what is next in this country? You see them shooting at people, some in their own backyard here, Leonard, just celebrating their politicking and thing, and they get beat up, shot
Mm-hmm.
at,
Mm-hmm.
and so let's see how this new commissioner of police, right? Let's see how he's gonna walk through these kinds of unlawful conduct by
Well,
his policemen.
based on what's been happening since he took over, I don't think we should be expecting any better or any difference.
Right? So I'm just saying, they're not doing right as per protocol, no? They're not doing right. So let's see what is going to happen. Let's see how much of them will get charged. Most of them will go to jail, or maybe vigilante justice seems to be popping up in this country, of Belize, Leonard,
That's what it
right?
leads to.
You see, there's some vigilante justice is happening,
You can't you
right?
can't get justice by the law. You take the law
So
into your hand, Mr. Chairman. That's what
exactly.
it leads to.
So I'm just saying, so Mr. Policeman, be careful how you're abusing people. Too much of that, because when the table turns, be very careful. Because the same way you are not afraid to slap somebody in the face, grown man, slap that person. The same way someone will come and maybe do worse than that to you. That just don't give a hoot, right? The same way you don't give a hoot slapping someone, somebody might think worse than the way you think. So just be very careful how
But,
you raising your hands to people.
but Mr. Chairman,
Fair advice.
most of the officers that behave with that kind of conduct, they are just cowards because they do that after when they don't have the people them with handcuff on applied to them with their hands behind their back, and there's no response that the person is capable of exercising in terms of defending themselves. Okay, and they also do that when they have the presence of other officers nearby that they could rely on to say, well, if anything breaks out or happen, they have backup at least.
Yes, yes.
No single one of them would go and attack no single other individual like that in any community.
So Leonard, we're just giving fair advice, right? Advising you to please be very careful of your conduct because you're not going to be in your uniform 24/7. Some of you are drunkards, go to bar and behave in a way that some of you lucky you return back home. Based on I have seen, right, some of your action outside on uniform and out of uniform. I have seen some of your action. That's why I say that. So be very careful, Mr. Policeman. Be careful and get to know your duties. Get to know what you are put out on the streets to do. If you don't know that, ask your supervisor. And if your supervisor do not know, go to the commissioner of police, sir. What should I do out on the street as a policeman? Because maybe if you learn the proper things in training.
That's what training school is for.
It doesn't seem. So you hear the police minister says, continue to say, Leonard and my people, that crime is down, murders is down. Not too long ago he said it again, and he continued to say that, right? Another thing I want to bring to the public, because it's happening, a lot of real estate crime, murders has been happening due to real estate. A lot of murders been happening because of deals gone bad in a real estate deal. So be very careful, you so-called pop-up real estate agents. Be very careful, right? Because it's not $1,000 you guys are involved in, right? It's a lot of money, right? You are swindling people.
Swindle the wrong one.
Okay?
And swindle the wrong one, I end up with the wrong results.
I'm not saying that is one of the reasons why they are killing them, Leonard. But
that is the sir. That is.
Right? I'm just saying based on what is actually happening right now, Leonard. Right now, that is what is happening, right? I asked Mr. Briceño and the People's United Party government, when will the building of the $91 million state-of-the-art hospital, who could go back in time, the baby you went in to get that, acquire that land, and the burden you put on the taxpayer to acquire that land, and the $91 million that you publicly been saying in the House too. $91 million state of the art hospital that is supposed to be built in Belmopan. When, Mr. Briceño, is that going to happen? Right? I think the people want to know, because
when did that money start to roll?
That's a good question, right? So I know for a fact that the Chinese man that sold that that was involved in that transaction deal, and the whoever
From
all
Corazon.
these people were involved in. I know they got their money already, right? The taxpayers' money. I know that,
And I could add to what you
right?
said, Mr. That some of that money was spent on electioneering up north as well.
It was because you see how that deal
And they,
went
and
down
they were
before
success
election, right?
and they were successful. But
You
we
see
still
how
know we
that
have
deal
failure.
went down, Leonard, before election. It was push, 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 and money, 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 right down the line before general election for that land, right?
After the election, you know, hear nothing about it.
Nothing more, right? He's on another project right now, not that one, right? Now, we always advocate here, Leonard, for the farmers, the small people. Lately we see in the news that the local potatoes that these farmers toil and to produce is not selling, right? We see how they show containers of these potatoes that destined to rot, right? um the agriculture minister, Mr. Man, be careful of the words you say, be careful of the things you say, because it come back to prove you wrong, right? And be careful of all these importers that your ministry is giving permits to bring in these potatoes, right?
And
Why you are doing it, I
undercutting
don't
the
know.
local producers.
I think that the right thing that you, Mr. Mai, should do is to stop the importation of potato and have these farmers, local farmers, to sell their produce, right? Locally. They got to live too, And don't forget, you know, the the expense they went through to produce these potatoes. I don't think, and I know for a fact you didn't help them in toiling their land and reaping their product, and I know for a fact you didn't do that, right? So these people came out of their pocket, and some of them maybe left owing the banks, Leonard, for borrowing money to right?
And credit unions.
Yes, and Mr. Mai, you don't feel any way about that, man. You don't feel no way about that. And these are the same people you go begging for votes, not the people who plant in Mexico and all them. No, you don't go there because they don't come and vote here. These are the very same people that you go begging for their votes in time. Up to now, for your village council, you went begging them,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't have no shame, man. No shame to do such a, you guys should be charged criminally, right? That's how I see that, right? I say you guys should be charged criminally for the things you do to people, right? And your very own people didn't do that to the Salvadoranians or the Mexicans or the Cubans or the
Mm-hmm.
Guatemalans. No, the very same Belizeans they do that too, right? And yet you're gonna say, we are a self-sufficient country. You said that, Mr. Man. We don't lack. We have food preserved. We will never go hungry, right? Be careful what you say, man.
He's talking about himself and his family.
Exactly. So that's my little contribution in terms of our farmers, Leonard. That's just one item, right? That the last time they had onions, and
Same problem.
carrots and all that,
Yeah,
right?
same
But I'm just
problem.
talking now, right? Same problem, right? So, Mr. Brisenio, you need to stop giving tax breaks to these big corporations, all these millions of dollars that you just giving away in tax breaks, and knowing the situation of the government coffers. If you stop giving all these millions away and start taxing the right people, who owe anyway, who owe the government coffers thousands of dollars, Thousands. Who you going after? Who your tax people going after, right? The mortuary, the guy that is going to preserve your body when it goes there. That's the person you're taxing. That's the person you want him to pay all his due. Who does that? Who does that? And you have all the rest of your other business partner getting away with millions of the Belizean patrimony.
When his company owed millions of dollars in taxes and it was made public, didn't they right away give the company an exemption order to say that they didn't owe the taxes anymore?
Exactly.
Why didn't they take them to court?
Exactly. Right. So all these things are happening across the board. And so all I'm saying is that these are just a sober reminder to the Belizean people, and these are the people that you gave the overwhelming support. You vote for them overwhelming, right? And those, they are power drunk now. And when you power drunk, you do all kinds of foolish things, right? And things that doesn't make sense. So that is what is happening right now. And who did it? You, the Belizean people, did it. And lastly, and I will say no more after this, I'll just pass it over. Lastly, is that we here on Belizean affairs over the past year, we've been talking about telling the people to be mindful and take heed, because there is a electricity rate gonna increase very, very soon based on the things that was happening and the way they were talking. Well, finally, right? So Leonard, I always say we here, at the end of the day, we see things before it happens, and we warn our people, right? We warn them and tell them that the things are. So some of them don't like it, Leonard. They don't like it.
They wait till it becomes news.
Yes.
Then they start believing.
So now it's news already. So, but we've been talking about this for over a year now, right? Over a year, we're talking about. And I said the water rate will go up too, right? I also predicted that water rate will go up too. But so far, the electricity rate is going to go up 3 cents. They were paying 40 a kilowatt, now it's going to be 43 cents, right? And it's going to happen. It is going to happen. And I say the water is right behind. So look out for the water too, right? So if you don't think that, the worst had happened, no, the worst is yet. Like I said, the worst is yet to come. Mm-hmm. And on that note, Leonard, you see what I've been talking about, the things that is actually breaking news and things that the people are going through in this country called Belize, and it's a never-ending saga, right? So, I pass it over to you. You feel free to. Right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll take the last point you brought up. That is about the electricity and the water. Yes, we had commented before when we had the discussions about the electricity rate and the lack of capacity for electrical production, and when we were having problems with the Mexican government, not the government, but the Mexican electrical company demanding their money, which we owe them, by the way, and we hadn't paid, which is why we were having difficulties with them. Most people can recall that I said when Mr. Advisenyo gave all those hundreds of millions of dollars to Mr. Ashcroft, I said there was nothing wrong to try and pay the man off, but it didn't have to be done in such a brash way where the money that was available for running the country was given to him, and then the government didn't have the money to pay its bills. And that was one of the points that I was referring to. The end result is that they could have given Mr. Ashcroft half of what they gave him and give him the other half at another point in time. Plus only interest, whatever. But he's not a banker, he like interest by money. So nothing wrong with that, and that's business. But they did not manage properly. They mismanaged. So we ended up with this situation where we didn't have enough electricity and we couldn't get any more credits out of the Mexican electrical company. And the equipment that we had, they said that they were just trying to repair it and put it back into service, but that they will need to raise the electricity price because the diesel was going to be more expensive. Remember that discussion, Mr. Wade?
Sure do.
Now we were telling them recently again that the price of electricity was going to be raised again. Why? Because the people that was going to do the solar panel projects would they would demand a higher price in order for them to provide that electrical current, and therefore we will have to pay a higher price. Now, every time you privatize your local industries, the private individuals, they get control of the market and they raise it depending on how they feel. You lose control of your own destiny when you make things like that happen, and especially when you have a mismanaged set of circumstance. So it's not just electricity, as we were saying, the water bill, which is a fully government-owned uh, um, utility, which should be operating without too much profit making and without having to squeeze the general population money out of their pocket that some of them don't even have, to the point where some of them lose their water. Water is life. People who can afford to pay for the water at the onerous prices that the government want to collect in order for the government to make a profit, to make up the difference, to pay the wage bill and other bills that they're not being able to pay because they give away all these big concessions to these big companies. They got to start managing the country like it belongs to the people and not to the big corporations. It's unfortunate that, I mean, it's not even just about the water. We have water, we have electricity, we have the BTL and all the other internet services that are critical infrastructures for the country's development and survival. And now they're talking about want to make a big monopoly out of all of those things put together so that they can aggregate all that asset into one monopoly to turn around and then default and turn it back over to Mr. Ashcroft. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. It looked like Free Country only work on behalf of Lord Ashcroft. He's the only person that is entitled to take money out of Free Treasury, even without doing anything on our behalf or doing anything
Wow.
that benefits us. He always ends up with millions and millions of dollars out of our treasury.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
And it's over and over and over. And it seems like nobody is catching on to the gig. Or nobody who can make a difference is interested in figuring out what the gig is, or how to reverse it, or how to relate to it in a positive way for the Belizean economy to benefit from it. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Like
You're
I
welcome,
say,
sir.
these are critical issues that involve our people. And that it's so sad to see how no one no one looks out for the poor and less fortunate. And no one at all. Um, do you know that right now, if you owe and who owe who have water bill up to like $40, poor people, cause they watch when they using all of them watch because they got to calculate the $150 a week when they make and think $180 a week. They got to watch that, and it got to be well calculated. Now, do you know, my people, what at home and abroad, that if you a Belizean, you owe $38, and they come and they cut you out
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
$38, right? So I just want, this is just a sober reminder, And who feels these effects? And when they cut you out for $38, you got to go and find that $38. Plus, you got to pay a reconnection fee, right? For them to come and then they're not going to come right away. So if you made it cook or you made it wash or you never got one bucket of water to drink, because people, Leonard, in this country of Belize, the poor people drink pipe water.
Yes, sir.
Right. Poor people drink pipe water. For who do not know and think that no, not everyone could buy
Bottled water.
a Barryboyne 5 gallon of water. Okay, not everyone. Okay, so a lot of poor Belizean drinks the tap water, and just imagine the water that you then wonder how people end up with the gallbladder stone and the kidney stone. And I have posted up, the nasty water that comes out of these taps, Leonard. I have done it. These are, and if you leave it 2 days or 3 days, it becomes green.
Green.
Right?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
You understand me?
Yes, sir.
So what? Like I'm saying, people should be charged criminally in this country. And before I introduce Greg, one more thing is that you see electricity. This is a very rich company, this BL, and I would like to know who is on this board. Who are the owners of BL? You know what, Leonard, and my people, both at home and abroad, if you burn under $100, it's okay. But once you burn $101, you will be taxed 15%. Okay? For who do not know that, that's not racket. You watch your bill. Watch your bill. If I'm not, you will be. Who does that? Right?
That means that you go from one. If you go to 100 and you stay, you don't get charged the extra. But if you go 100 and $1 extra, you get $116 as a bill.
There
automatically.
Say no more, and I. Right, these are real thing, though, Leonard. These are real, we know the tap. These are what the Belizean people are managing in this country of called Belize. And the man, Britannia, this is the best that the Belizean people have lived in 43 years. That's what that man said. I want to welcome Mr. Gregory Brackett, the senior panelist. Welcome, my brother. It's always a pleasure to be in your company.
Good night. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Always a pleasure sitting with you guys virtually on the platform. Good night to you, the people at home and abroad. Thanking you for tuning in into this, our 314 episode of Belizean Affairs. Mr. Chairman, I heard your last speech right there, and I want to take it a little bit further.
Thank you. Go ahead.
But before I take it further, let's hear the tape, because this is interesting, and I want to put it out there so people can know what is really happening.
The reason for the request is that the actual cost of electricity being supplied to consumers are and have been exceeding the price that we charge consumers for that electricity. The result is sustained losses on the part of BEL. Immediately after COVID, we had taken the position that we can carry those losses for a time and allow consumers a time for recovery from the ill effects of COVID. And we have carried those costs for a time. But those costs cannot be carried indefinitely by BEL, as you can expect. If you're incurring those types of losses consistently and over a sustained period, the burden becomes increasingly more and more heavy until it eventually becomes unbearable. Well, it's nearing that point. So it necessitated that we make a request for adjustment in rates to cover that shortfall, notwithstanding talk of all the various projects, which are all still ongoing, and we still very much look forward to having them, but they haven't been realized. So the financial situation in interim is such that there needs to be an adjustment to prices to take account of these sustained losses. And what we did was to calculate that what the new price would have to be to cover the losses within a reasonable period. And we said that the numbers were showing it should go from 40 cents per kilowatt hour to an average of 45.3 cents or thereabouts to recover the whole thing. But we didn't ask to recover the whole thing. We asked for an adjustment to 43 cents starting January next year. But we also gave an alternative proposal, which is that it's either that we get these increases starting January next year, or we introduce a whole new way of billing customers that doesn't involve these rate reviews, these complex review processes, and the fixing of fixed rates for long periods of time. But we move to what's called dynamic pricing, which is the price to the consumer changes with the actual cost of power on an hour-to-hour basis throughout each day, in each month, in each year.
Outright craziness.
Mr. Chairman, I don't even want to talk about the solar panel issue and the amount of money that came in for that. I don't even want to talk about the new generators, one in Belize and one in Ambergiski, that was supposed to help the grid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk about BL talking about taking losses when they are rolling blackouts. I wonder how much Belizean is still out of a TV as we speak. That when asked the Prime Minister, he said they don't think they can replace it. But I wanted to play that tape first because there's two things I want to say. The good gentleman said during COVID, they were taking some losses. And I want to say to him, it's a big rip-off, sir, because only the underprivileged was getting an excuse. It's not everyone that was not paying their bills. Only the underprivileged that don't have a job and could not really do that. But here is the catch. Now he wants to come back with a 45.3, which will be nationwide. So all those people who was paying during COVID,
still get hit again.
that is correct. So that is how devious they are.
Exactly.
And Mr. Wade, you were talking something right there before I came on. And I want to say this again that the people don't know. BEL is forcing you to pay your bill on a certain date. I will give you an example of mine. If my bill is to be paid on the 12th of every month, and I decide to go pay it on the 13th, BEL is not giving you a 5 days grace period. You know what they are doing? And I think the government is involved in this. This is my belief. Because you know what they are doing? The next day, the 13th, they forward that bill on to the new bill and double tax you on it, even though you pay it on the 13th. And I'm a living proof to that.
I watched that too, Greg. You're right on the money. I watched that too. That's why I say what I say. Right on that. Go ahead.
And there should be a grace period. No company constitutionally cannot force you to pay your bill on the said day. You have to have at least 3 days leverage. So when they forward your bill just the next day, the following day, and they add it on to the new coming bill and tax you, they are overcharging you because your bill, like me, is being paid on the 13th. And you know what? You won't be able to get that back.
They know what they're doing. They're just outrightly taking chance of people. And when you go and you talk to them about it, they want to chase you out their office. They want to get mad. They want to tell you, well, it's automatic, that they can't do nothing about it. And if you want your bill, and if you don't pay it, then they want to charge you for disconnection fee or reconnection fee. They want to, they put you through a whole lot of different ringers, all because they feel that they have you over a barrel. It's just about taking chance of people. It's onerous. And it's not because they don't know. What they need to do is stop paying them big salaries to the executives, stop misspending the money, stop collecting money that they're not using for the correct purposes, or then they give contracts to special people. And they have to stop the give Fortis and the other people who produce unlimited current into the system extra benefits, because they're ripping us off as well. When the man say he want to raise it from 40 to 43 and 43, they didn't have to raise it to 43. They could have raised it to 41 or 41 and a half or 42 or 42 and a half. They never had to go to 43.
It's
Why
all
is
the
that
way
number
to
so come up with a
45.
magic? Well, that's what he's saying, that the calculations show. But that calculation includes what? They didn't explain what the calculation includes.
But
In
my
that
good
calculation,
cousin,
go
they
ahead.
want to raise it because they're losing. And when
No,
they raise it,
no. They want to
what
be ahead of the
kind of
game. They want to make us
service
some
will
money.
we get?
They
The
want to make us
same
some money.
rolling backwards because the grid cannot take any more than a certain amount.
But they're accepting from companies that every new company that comes to Belize add to we grid in terms of the demand. Okay, so the existing grid cannot accommodate more than a certain amount, so they have to upgrade the grid.
I quite understand that, Mr. Brackett, but then why don't BEL sue the government when there's those new foreign company come that is getting concession and
Exactly.
driving up electricity? The government should be sued for that because you know what will happen when big companies come. They need a lot of power.
That's my
But
point.
I am saying, what happened? You want a solar panel, you go to Taiwan. You want a solar panel, you go to the US. Where are the solar panel system that was supposed to be implemented that would have given the grid so much extra power and cut costs on the public? We have not heard
If they can't get
anything more about it.
Greg, if they can't get no money out of it, they don't facilitate it. That's the problem in our country. Our country does not facilitate investors who are capable of coming in and contributing to the economy of the country and to the treasury of the country. They are willing to suborn the powers and the authority of the government to people who are willing to play a ball with them behind the scene. They are not about proper management, okay, of the country. They're about managing the affairs of the country for their own personal gains. And that is their problem. There's a lot of companies that would like to come to Belize and do business in Belize in order for them to gain a piece of the pie. And they wouldn't mind paying a little something, paying some taxes to the government, you know. But our system, the way we run it in the country, is that the ministers, they hobnob with these people and they cut their side deals and they get into these people's private business and they make them one personal hustles and to hell with the rest of the country. And I keep
Well
saying that
said.
over and over and over. I have evidence to validate that fact. Not because I have a pair of a lip on my face, is why I say these things.
Well said. Well said,
And if they
Leonard.
feel like I'm not saying the truth, sue me.
Well said. Greg, thank
They
you
want a business
for
out in public.
thank you for highlighting, and it's as you're right on the money there, Leonard. And I want to add to that, Greg and Leonard. Not too long ago, you hear about this healthy. I'm not going to say the amount because I cannot put my number, I can't put it on the right figure. I can't put my thoughts on the right figure, right? But not too long ago, BL made a hefty profit.
Mm-hmm.
Not too long ago. So what this man is talking about, Greg and Leonard? Losing money? No, not too long ago they made a hefty profit between themselves, right? And another thing in this country of Belize, you do not get a water bill, you do not get a light bill. So how do one get to know what is their consumption, Mr. Marshallek? You guys do not generate a bill to household. You generate a bill. If you got a phone, you get your bill. Not everyone has a phone, Mr. Man. Not everyone has internet, Mr. Man. Not everyone could find out what they OBL because they don't get a bill, right? So that's one of the ways you guys make a lot of damn money.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that person do not know and he lives to hell somewhere, and by the time he gets to the BL office, you already cut them out already,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then while he get to that office, now he got to pay that bill plus reconnection fee.
Exactly. That's what I said
Right?
earlier.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
It's a hustling.
You want
But
a proper system?
Chancing
Do things
people.
the right way. Generate a damn bill. So
Mr. Chairman, the
That's how
water
it used to be.
company is doing the
That's the way
same
it was
thing,
done
sir.
before. That's how
The
it was done
water
before,
company
Mr.
is
Chairman.
cutting out people for less than $20 to make the connection fee. Imagine.
I thought it was $38, but you say it's 20, right?
I had
I
a bill
saw
got
around
cut.
here.
I had a bill got cut off for $26. $26.
See?
And it's not like I wasn't paying the bill.
Wow.
What happened? The office was closed when I went to pay the bill. And I put a tag on the meter. And they still wanted the connection fee before they connect.
So,
And like I'm saying,
right.
they did that to me. The bill, let's say the bill was due today. In 2 days' time, it was cut. Not even a 5 days grace period. Then they have a tendency, Mr. Chairman. By phone, they will remind you, send you a reminder. They
And if you
don't
got a
do that
phone,
sometime when they want to make the money. No reminder.
yes.
Just show up and cut the water line.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. So you see what I'm talking about, guys?
And
My
that's a
people.
that's a government public utility,
Right.
okay?
And
that
all the
belongs to us.
utilities does
That belongs
that,
to all of
Leonard
us.
and Greg. All the utility company does that to the people. They do not generate a bill. They generate a bill, yes, but if you have a phone, like I'm saying, right? Is that the right way to do business? And here you have this man talking about increase and the reason why he's increased. They came to that decision. He explained why, right? So I say this to you, Mr. Marshallek. Please do right by the customers who are making you rich. You and your group.
He's a
Do
member
right
of
by them.
He's a member of a whole lot of different boards, and every more than them board that he sits on, he's getting a salary or benefits from each of those boards.
I could care less who the hell you are, but once you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care who you are, right? I'm also a consumer too, so I have a right to. Mr. Man, go to your when you go to your next sitting in hurdle with your minions, tell them that there are people there clamoring they want a bill. They want a bill. Find a way to get a bill to your customers. Then you could talk about that 45 cents. I mean, that 5 cents, 5.3 cents raise. The hell is wrong with you guys? You know, you keep doing this to poor people, you know. Come on, you know. I mean, that's so sad to see how you guys use and abuse the poor people, right? And it's across the board. Not only BL do it, the entire utility system does it, right? To the poor people. That's how they make money. So sad.
And
Back to you,
and
Greg.
and Mr. Chairman, just so the people at home and abroad can see what we are saying, because we show and tell. In 2021, the Belize Electricity Board made a surplus of $34 million.
What are you
Okay?
talking? Where it was, Greg? 2021.
2021.
Where's
And
where's
I will
that?
show it on the
And why,
scroll banner so the people can see it.
and
Wow.
why didn't they pay the
Wow.
Mexicans then?
Wow.
There you
Wow.
go.
Wow. Wow.
Read
Wow.
it out,
Wow.
Greg. Could you read it out?
Let it go around first, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, there.
because I want them to hear what it says, right? And I will read it out for them.
Okay, go ahead.
The
Yeah.
last year, Belize Electricity Limited BL record and net surplus was 2021 with a net income of approximately $34.0 million, which was the third highest in the company's history.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Wow. Wow. I wasn't far from wrong. I mean, from right. Right.
You said 30.
You know.
It was close.
Damn. Huh? And this man come with this venom.
It's all about making extra money. They want to make more money so
But
that they could misspend. But they
but
could have.
guys, who are these people squeezing, man? That's my thing. Who are they squeezing? The very same poor people that don't even have a job.
Mm-hmm.
But they got to find a way because they need light, Greg and
These
Leonard. They need water.
are vital services that people can't do without.
Necessity of health and life. And these are the people that you all are doing this to. And these are the very same people who will run back for some support. Maybe some of them will die, you know, along with the squeeze that you guys gonna choke them to death. The news are slowly choking the Belizean people.
Mm-hmm.
Lot feel it, guys, and do not want to talk about it. Lot goes to bed hungry and do not want to talk about it. But some, Greg and Leonard, speak about it, right? Some has the guts.
Mr. Chairman, I
So
can
sad.
safely say there is a way to counter the effects of what BL is speaking about. Because you can go to any one of the My Light shop and you could buy solar light in that comes in a remote, and you can put one in your living room, one in your kitchen and your hallway, and it will cost you less to use this light during the night when you're up and to own and when you're using the television and BL. You will save enormous energy by using those lights that way.
Greg, another thing that people can use, especially in Belize too, again, to cut the bills lower, is buy the LED bulbs. Okay? Some of them use like 3 watts or 2.5 watts compared to the regular 50 watt and 60 watt and 100 watt or 75 watt bulbs. It's a major, major savings. It will cost a little bit up front, a little bit more than the regular bulb, but it will last you almost as long. It's almost as bright, and you're going to make back or keep more of the money in your pocket instead of paying these high rates of electrical bills.
But we still have to watch them because they have a time when they want to estimate your bill in summer and all that.
They don't come out and
Because I have couple friends who went away and left the house locked up, and the bill was the same thing as though they were here.
Public knowledge, Greg. People came out on publicly on the media and show. Yeah, be great. You said it right. These people were away and came back and find enormous bill. Nobody in the house is locked up, but they come back and find you're right on that. Not too long ago that was on the news.
Well, normally they would have a bill even though they are not there, because if the refrigerator is left on or any other item is left on, the TV, well, not TV, but any other small items that are sucking the juice over a period of time and suck. Yeah, but and be the high bill that you normally pay when you're there, when you flip lights on and lights off and you iron clothes and they cook this or cook that or So that shows that they're not that they're not treating people right. They're stealing from people, even when the stuff is exorbitant and high.
Greg, you see on this village council election publicly, you see how they're behaving right, and up to the law enforcement officers, you see how they behave right. So I talked about that.
Mr. Chairman, you brought up a touchy subject when you use the word law enforcement. Some, I will say, are good cop, and some uneducated and trained and should not be in a uniform because they are in gross violation
and they know
violating people's constitutional right. Last time we was on this platform, we spoke about the 13th Amendment. And I want to play a tape to hear what Jules Vasquez had to say about it. Because after I want to play a tape and I want to tell you why this 13th Amendment should not pass. Let's hear what Mr. Vasquez had to say.
That's a common assault. That's not a common assault. That's more than a common assault.
That's a criminal assault.
Exactly. You need to have
the young man is already in handcuffs.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about earlier in the program. Crazy.
And I will say this right now and here. Let's hear what Jules had to say about the 13th Amendment.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's rough out here. So we have to be very aware of this. So I just wanted to sound the alarm on that.
Jules, now let's talk about the odious 13th Amendment.
I have to channel my inner cream. The 13th Amendment is one of the most reprehensible, abusive, and obnoxious and offensive pieces of legislation I have ever seen. It reminds me of when the Barrow administration proposed preventative detention, which was rejected by the populace and they pulled it back. And we're hoping that can happen with the 13th Amendment. To summarize it as effectively as possible, it will make it easier for them to declare what states of emergency. They will now call it special areas, which is a euphemism, right? Special areas.
Yeah.
And they will make it easier to do that, and they will also retroactively legalize all the previous states of emergency. So that even if you want to challenge it, no, you can't go to the court. We close that off. When you deny people access to the court on a valid complaint, it is sinister. It will also, they say the urgency for this constitutional amendment is divergent judicial interpretation. Two judges give two different judgments on the SOE within a month. In that case, in any normal civil space, you simply wait for the appeal. But no. We cannot wait on an appeal. We will change the law.
Yeah. Yes.
It is abusive, offensive, obnoxious. It offends every principle of how our Constitution should work. That there is a rule of law that derives from the courts. If there's a divergence of opinions in the courts, a cleavage between two dispensations, you must then go to the Court of Appeal. No. We not wait man that because we mean for lock on up. We mean for take on our rights. You know that not people, you know that not citizens, you know that's some dog. And with the coffee, you know, I find it from the same, I understand politics is replete with prevarication. It is beset by lies. Politicians lie as a matter as they breathe. PUDP, that's a fact. But it is John Brisenia who said, they had the solution. He said we will declare, I forget what they call it, special Southside development zones. And this is how we will fix it. Well, the zone that they're creating is a special area, which is a special area where your rights can be suspended far easier than in the past. They're bringing down the threshold. The white paper on it says the current state of emergency laws, whatever, requires a threshold of threat so extensive that it endangers public safety. So the threshold is currently too high. We must bring the threshold down. Bring the threshold down so we can make it easier to declare special areas.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most Orwellian, offensive, obnoxious, abusive of citizens' rights constitutional amendments I've ever seen. And I hope they're going to have public consultations. I hope and pray the public comes out to oppose it. I will continue to oppose it with every fiber of my being, and I will have to suspend the cream emotion to say in a very beef way, go fire with that.
Yes.
Yes.
That is anti-Belizean.
Yeah.
It offends our Constitution.
Yes.
It offends our expectation of justice. Go fire with that. Offend.
Bukele. Belizean
Oh,
Bukele.
Mr. Chairman, you see why we have to be adamant to make sure this don't pass? What you think will happen to the young man that just gets slapped? He can't go
Nothing.
to the court and sue. Even though there will not be a state of emergency, once that law is passed, retroactively, it will be countrywide. Any abusive use by the police, like this young man I just showed the tape, you know what happened? He can't sue. He can't even go to the court. Authoritarian rule. That
Mr.
is
Chairman,
where we are heading.
at this point, on this particular point, since we are getting close to the time where I'm asking if I can get, I want to continue in the same venue, if you don't mind, if I can get the opportunity now. So it'd be one and the same thing, because it's the exact item I was going to be dealing with, no?
Let me say this before Greg, thank you for bringing that up, because we have been talking about this, right, Greg? And then we've been talking about it, right?
Yes, sir.
Now we see it perfecting itself. But I personally, as a human being, whatever they are doing, Greg, it's okay by me, you know. For me, it's okay. They could pass that. But, you know, I have one policeman. No, in fact, no one will actually slap me like that. I not even going to the court. I not going, no. I will not do that. But that person that slapped me, he have another thing coming to him. Right? That do me like the way they did that young man. So they could pass that because I don't need it. They could pass that 13th Amendment. I don't even going to court.
Mr. Chairman, that is a criminal offense. That is not even a common assault. The young man is already detained.
So that's another thing, Greg and Leonard. What they're living in the minds of the people now. Right? You hear I talked earlier about taking the law into your own hands.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I said that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and trust me, it is coming. It is coming.
No, Mr. Chairman, what is so sad about this young man that got slapped?
Oh.
He will go to court. He didn't commit the crime yet. He got assaulted. What happened if he missed a day at court and they passed the bail bond bill? He could get 7 years. 7 years. He can get 7 years for missing 1 day at the court, and he's the one who gets slapped.
And to the public out there, that's what we saw out there in the public. But when that young man get behind bars or in that station, you know the arson and the whipping he's gonna get.
Huh? On that same tape, Mr. Chairman, there was a voice that said, "Carry down the station." Okay? Carry down the station. In other words, that our partner deal with him. The way they want to, because none of them want get the man now have no witness, and none of them want to tell upon each other, and none of them want to get prosecuted for committing crimes under the color of law.
So sad.
Whenever you're ready, you could let me know, Mr. Chairman.
I
know you have maybe some.
I wanted Greg to queue up some other stuff, but it's all right.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. We might have to add another 5 minutes just in case. Then go ahead, sir. I just mentioned it just now because we are locked into this particular point. You know, I didn't want to let this point get away and then I come back and
go ahead because you already have it. Why don't you?
Okay, Greg. All right, we'll lose that on another time then, Greg. Right? So go ahead. Go ahead. You could take the I think 10 minutes.
Emergency powers. What I'm about to get into then with the questions of the chairman is to read and compare a part of what the PCC recommendations to the Prime Minister is. And in regards to the emergency power, which is the item we were just talking about just now, you know, state of emergencies and the emergency powers of the government and or, you know, needing to have the general assent to all of that. It says
go ahead, Leonard. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Okay. Under the section of emergency powers, it says recommendation number 53 says to amend, to expand, and make provisions for public emergency. And then I want to add under 53.1 remove the term outreach. No, not outreach, outbreak. Okay, under 53.1, it says remove the term outbreak of infectious diseases from section 18.3, paragraph A. And then also subsection 2 says add the term prevention of outbreak of infectious diseases in section 8.3, paragraph B. Now, I want to pass over that and go to recommendation 54, which says amend the triggers for public emergencies, and that will be amendment recommendation 54. And 54, subsection 1 would read, the trigger mechanisms for section 18.3A are sufficient and should be left alone. But yet, we have the government making another proposal to get rid of section or modify section 18.3 and other portions. And it goes on to say under section under subsection 2, it says that section 18.3 should be amended. Well, let me take a step out of the way because shucks. Oh man. I opened up this stuff and it went too far. Look like I lost it for a second there. Yeah, I did. Holy Toledo. Oh man. I lost the stuff. Let me go back here for a second. Let's see. I probably went too far, too fast. I messed up. I think I have to leave that part alone because I can't find it right now. I don't know how far apart. I messed up. I just have to ask to be excused because I lost the information. Man. It's like, I'm all the way at 80. Yeah, I was all the way. I don't know why he threw me all the way like that.
You're at 64, right? 64?
54. 54.
Oh, 54.
54. I'm right there. I'm almost there right now, though. So I'm getting 50, 54. Okay. Okay, so I'm at 54 right there. Okay. Okay, let me just expand it a little bit so I can read it properly. And then under 54.2, it was saying that section 18.3 should be amended as follows, such as paragraph A and B. As in regards to paragraph A, it says strengthen or raise the trigger mechanisms for public emergency. And paragraph B says include a provisions that precludes the state from relying on the occurrence of offenses in domestic legislation in and or itself to justify imposition of state of emergency. And it goes on to have quite a few other subsections and paragraphs and, up to 5. Recommendation 55 says amend to remove the Governor General's powers. That is that there will be no Governor General, and those powers will be taken over by the Prime Minister. And so they don't have to go to the Governor General, as we now have to get somebody over the Prime Minister's head to decide whether or not the Prime Minister is meeting compliance by the Constitution, and therefore has to get the Governor General to sign off to make an SOE valid. The Prime Minister will just arbitrarily and capriciously decide, okay, well, you know what? We want my SOE, so go ahead I agree with that. Replace the Governor General's functions in emergency powers with the Prime Minister and the National Assembly. Basically, for all intents and purposes, you're talking about committing sedition, okay? Under 56, it says, recommendation 56, to amend removal of Her Majesty, which should have said His Majesty's Council. Under section 22, 1, in the definition of court should be amended to remove the reference to Her Majesty's Council. That is because, again, they are planning to have the Prime Minister appoint, as I said in last presentation, 5 people that will then become what they would call the Constitution Commission. Okay? No, so the Constitution as we have it today will not have the power that it currently has. That power will be vested in the Constitution Commission under the purview of the Prime Minister, because there will be no head of state other than the Prime Minister. I don't think I want to read too much more because the point where I need to yield back to the chairman. But definitely on Friday, when we take up the constitutional hour part of the program, I'll be dealing with more of these. So I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman, so you can take the other 5 minutes to do your closing and wrapping up of the whole show.
Greg?
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Mr. Chairman, just based on what my cousin said, I want to show a school banner. I will show a school banner that is readable, just to piggyback on what my good cousin just said.
Okay.
The Belize government can propose and make fundamental change to its constitutional framework, but such changes are subject to important legal and democratic constraints rooted in the basic structure. So they just cannot go and do it as most people think they can. People at home and abroad, they are coming to you, turning you into sovereign citizens. So be aware of what is going on.
To commit sedition on their behalf. Because
I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm Leonard. You're going to take a minute, then I'll take 2 for your closing. Greg, yeah, you could take 1.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
I'll take the 1 minute and just
I'll take 2.
Just further on the same comment that I made just now in regards to we the Belizean people have to be cognizant. We have to pay attention. We got to want to know, because not wanting to know just because we don't know is no excuse for what these guys are going to get around and do to us. Okay? If you think one blue bukut right now is good enough, there are other kind of bukuts out there. Okay? So be careful. Don't feel like we're going to take on just about any bukut. Because some bukut will hurt to know. And these guys are out to hurt to know. Okay? Left it like that, in parables until next Friday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Leonard. It's always a pleasure to sit in your company, and time is always for Greg and Leonard. Time is always of an essence, and sorry we got to. Leonard, can we at some point start to do 2 hours, man? But anyway, no, I'm just saying, right? But our time is limited, and it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, and hope that we open the eyes a little bit more again, Leonard, because the eyes of the Belizean people, is closed, and we're trying to open it up, and hopefully, like tonight, we shed a little bit more, right? We shed a little bit more, on that, so your eyes could open, and to those who.
Mr. Chairman, before you close out, only the people can save the people in this scenario that we are facing.
Exactly.
But the people, I'm generalizing now, a people in ignorance cannot justifiably do the work required to save the people. So how can the hell the people save the people in ignorance?
Yeah, right on
That
that.
is the purpose for us being here and wasting our
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't even
Yeah.
call it wasting our time, but I mean investing our time
Yeah.
to try and bring to your attention what is it that you say ails you, and how is it that you might be able to get a relief or a reprieve. But if you, the people, are not interested in learning and knowing what you need to know because you didn't born knowing it, then how the hell are you going to save yourself? I yield back, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Greg, hopefully, like on the next segment, either Monday or Wednesday, we could continue on along this line, and you could, we could actually show more and tell more, right? And on that note,
Yeah.
thanks to those who view us, guys, and who are with us right now streaming, and those who are gonna watch us a little later. Thanks and praise, and be mindful. June to November, take heed. Protect yourself, your property, and your loved ones, right? Because the system is not going to do it for you. So please take heed. And to those on the highways, be mindful. Too many traffic accidents, too many fatalities. And my people, both at home or abroad, good night. May God bless Belize.
Amen. Good night.
Break.
Okay, gentlemen, you ready? 1, 2, 3.